Skill issue. The ultimate method of shielding yourself from criticism. If you are not good at the game and you don't like it very much, Sonic fans will say that your opinion is not valid because you're bad at the game. In other words, the game is not the problem, you are. Listen man, I can completely understand we live in a messed up world where people genuinely refuse to understand the mechanics of video games and call the game bad for it. Don't get me wrong. Seeing someone that refuses to play games properly just to dunk on them for views is extremely annoying. However, I believe these people are the exceptions, not the rule. The minority, not the status quo. We Sonic fans, not all of us, but a very toxic kind, have this problem that we're talking skill issue to anyone that disagrees with us. There are some recent cases of people that dislike the Werehog's gameplay in Sonic Unleashed, that the game is a watered-down version of God of War, and that the combat is just boring. People will dunk on these guys using skill issue as an excuse, blaming them for being bad at the game, just spamming the same attacks, and not playing the game quote-unquote the correct way, which is ridiculous because these people are not just good at the Werehog, but really good, to the point where they just call the game too easy, and don't even get me started on Sonic Heroes. Listen, I haven't played Heroes in ages, but when I played the first few levels back then, it didn't seem bad at all. I honestly didn't even mind the controls that much. But the way some Heroes fans, not all of them, I don't like creating stereotypes, will personally attack people that don't like Heroes by saying they're bad at the game for disliking the controls, which they think are clunky, man, it's just too much toxicity. I swear, if some of these toxic fans get the keys to entire nations and governments, freedom of speech will be a concept obliterated faster than a full playthrough of Sonic Forces. And it normally tends to happen with their favorite Sonic games. Sonic Adventure 2, Heroes, Unleashed, which are all games I enjoy and consider both SA2 and Unleashed to be top tier Sonic games. And I think you, dear respectful Sonic fan aka viewer of my channel, might share that opinion too. But if someone's gonna go at me and telling that these games are mediocre or bad but bring up good, well thought of points as to why that's the case, regardless of the person's skill level at the game, I would genuinely respect their opinions, despite not agreeing with them. So today, I want to go deeper into this problem of blaming players for being bad at Sonic games. So with that said, sit back, relax, and enjoy some chill video. The Sonic Unleashed review by IGN in the year 2008. Still some of the most infamous reviews ever. Everyone and their dog dunks on it. Even though it's almost been 2 decades since its release, and IGN went back on everything the review said multiple times, as well as firing the reviewer. I wish that would be the last time they have to apologize for someone dunking on Sonic. However, I want you, just this time, to pay attention to this review differently. Let's leave the Werehog gameplay to the side for a moment, and let's just talk about the day stages. If you look at the review's analysis of the day stages, you notice that, yeah, the reviewer is complete metallic buns at video games. The man barely understands how the boost works and has the reflexes of a 5-year-old child. Now revising the script, I'm imagining there's a high possibility that he could have been drunk while playing and reviewing the game. But I want you to listen closely to what he's saying about the day stages. Surprisingly, he's enjoying it. During this entire review, he never truly dunks on the day stages of the game. He enjoys it despite being terrible at it, and it's flat out annoying how people will take the review out of context to make it seem like he hates the day stages. He never said that. What he did say was that the Werehog was boring and slow and that the open worlds were useless, as well as dunking on the tail stages. All he said were some weird complaints. I want to keep it crystal clear that I'm in no way, shape, or form defending this review, as it still fundamentally fails as a video game analysis, and it really shows the reviewer didn't care at all for what he was doing, and as my theory suggests, he was literally drinking a bucket of beer while doing the review, which regardless of the cause was a fundamentally bad media analysis, but that's something I'll cover later on. But really, think about it a little deeper. Do you think you were good at Sonic games when you were a kid? Maybe when you played a Sonic game for the first time. I wasn't, and I bet money you weren't so good either. Yet we're still fans of the franchise all those years later. We all start bad, or at the very least, mid at Sonic games. And that's when the argument falls apart, because whether you like it or not, you were bad at Sonic games someday, and now you might or might not be. Do you see where I'm going with this here? good video games are able to either teach players how to play the game the intended way through good game design, or just be accessible to new or casual players with the goal that they will fall in love with the mechanics that developers created to become better players and enjoy the game at its fullest potential, or simply enjoy the game even though they're playing badly. And if a game fails these things, that should be a point of criticism towards it, in my opinion. Of course, it's not something that ruins the game for everybody. It shouldn't change the opinion of players more used to the game, but it should still be pointed out, as being a good game for not so experienced players is something important when it comes to bringing new fans to a gaming franchise. Skill doesn't matter here, guys. It's the good gameplay, regardless of skill level, that does. Sonic Unleashed does a very bad job at teaching players its multiple combos with the Werehog that undeniably make the gameplay more enjoyable than spamming X and Y all over the place. Sorry, PlayStation people. And that's a point of criticism I would have towards the Werehog. But the thing is that not everyone has that point against the Werehog. Again, some people actually dislike the Werehog combat for being too easy and not as fun as other combat-centered games, and they will be blamed for not understanding the game, even though their complaints are that they already know everything the combat system has to offer and thinks it's shallow compared to other combat-focused games. And yet people will use that very argument that they're not good at the game, and it's ridiculous. The problem here isn't pointing out that people suck at the game and blame the game for it. The problem is that people will be so confident that their opinions are correct that they cannot accept the fact people can disagree with them. So they'll cope by calling them bad at the game, even though in many cases that's not true at all. You're basing your entire argument on the fact people don't have your skill and understanding of the game's mechanics. Sonic Team, despite making great games, doesn't have the best track record of teaching players the game's mechanics well, and it just makes us Sonic fans so toxic to newcomers. In this video, I've been talking about how us fans talk bad on the wrong people, and that's the problem here. Having a negative opinion on the game while not being good at it is not a problem, and honestly, it should never be. The real problems here are the poor explanation, poor writing, and just plain attempts at engagement bait towards Sonic fans. And I promise you, being a Sonic fan for 3 years, that 95 times in 100, skill is not the issue. The issue is being unfair and dishonest towards the games. The now iconic Sonic was never good moment from 2017, when Sonic Mania and Forces were being marketed, I wanted to look at this closely. What are they saying here? Sonic sucks. Sonic was never good. Okay, that is your statement. Now what's the evidence you have to back up that statement? I'm waiting. Waiting? I could be here all day. You saw that? Nothing. No evidence to back up your bold claim. Don't you see what they're doing here? They know everything. They know that we Sonic fans get angry at negative Sonic arguments, so they are literally putting us in a session of good old-fashioned rage bait. No evidence to back it up, just saying Sonic was never good, like they're juggling keys at you and trapping you in a hamster wheel to give them views and popularity. It surely makes me thankful that the man in that gaming show had to apologize for the moment in front of the guy that is basically now IGN's Sonic ambassador. And that's not the only case. Look at Lady Decade's video on Sonic games. I haven't seen many other videos made by her, and they don't seem bad, but this one is ridiculous. She's literally covering every single 3D Sonic game, but never once proves any point as to why they failed since it went 3D. Just some not very fleshed out points about cameras, playable characters and stuff, but again, there's not much writing in there besides just saying camera bad, friends bad, Sonic 06 kiss, and it's just so cheap. It's not that much of a trend now, with some exceptions that will always be there, but that is the real problem with these Sonic haters out there. They will state that Sonic was never good and not back up their points with any evidence. That's the opposite of someone that dares to criticize the 3D Sonic games, like Telekinestic Man with his video on 3D Sonic games, which he got dunked on a lot and was put in the same bag as these rage baiters I mentioned. Fun fact, I actually made a very respectful response video to his video when I sucked at producing videos and didn't know how to project my voice properly.
Man posted a video called The Stagnation of 3D Sonic Gameplay.
Okay, stop. And honestly, I think the best way to describe what Sonic fans do is literal friendly fire. I got no other way to describe it. The Sonic Unleashed review wasn't bad because the reviewer didn't like the game. It was bad because, again, the reviewer had no evidence to back up his claim as to why the Werehog was bad, why the hub worlds were annoying, and everything bad that was stated. He just said, thing is bad and done. No evidence, no critical thinking, no nothing. It's got nothing to do with being bad at the game or not. It's got everything to do with whether you're honest about what you're trying to say. In conclusion, Sonic fans, or just video game fans in general, shouldn't base their arguments around someone else's skill because skill doesn't really matter. What really matters is someone's honesty about what they want to say and whether they have evidence to back up their claims. It makes us toxic freaks, and that's the reason people might want to say Sonic was never good or just some random stuff just to take advantage of our vulnerability here and create a trend. I hope you came to understanding what I was trying to say with this video. Before you leave, I want to announce that channel memberships are officially on in my channel. It's one fairly cheap tier where you get a bunch of meme emojis like the Sonic Generations 1 meme, as well as really cool custom badges featuring the sickest Sonic artwork I could find. You also get to watch all my new releases 3 days early if you like my content. Thank you all for the support, and with all that said, bye bye.